In 1993, I was 16 years old and a brand new driver when I was pulled over for going 6 miles over the speed limit at the bottom of a steep hill. It was the first time I had ever been stopped by a police officer, and I was so nervous I started to shake because I didn't understand what was happening. The officer was hostile, irritated by my shaking hands as I passed him my license and registration. So much so that he made me get out of the car and sit on the curb while he interrogated me with inappropriate questions that no man, let alone an officer of the law, should ever ask a 16-year-old. I was finally released when he got another call, and he just tossed me a ticket before driving off. A neighbor had seen the whole thing and told my parents before I even got home. They immediately called the police department, trying to understand what had happened. His supervisor later called back after speaking with him and said the officer had acted outside of protocol. There was absolutely no reason for him to have pulled me out of the car, and no reason to be questioned the way I was, and no excuse for what he said. And to their credit, they didn't defend him. The officer personally called me and apologized. He said he was in the wrong, and it appeared that he was just having a bad day. But the way that this professional was held accountable mattered, because there were standards being upheld. There were still people within the system willing to say this was not okay. And that's what makes what happened to Renee Nicole Good so terrifying. I've felt a flicker of that confusion. That moment where nothing makes sense. Where you're trying to stay calm, trying to follow instructions, and trying just to make it out of the situation safely. But what I experienced that day was just a shadow of what she must have felt. 1% of it, if even that. Renee was surrounded by masked agents with no warning that this would end with her being shot in the face while sitting in her car next to her partner. She wasn't a threat. She wasn't even armed. She was a 37-year-old mother trying to get away from a scene that should never have unfolded in the first place. Because professional, well-trained law enforcement officers do not roll up to a woman in her car like that, crowd her vehicle with unclear messaging, and execute someone in broad daylight. But ICE did that. ICE does that. And this administration is trying to get us to forget that. They're rewriting it into something else entirely. But we know the truth, and the more details that keep coming out, the more horrific it is. That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Those were Renee's final words to the masked agent just before she was shot. Her words were calm, and they were an attempt to de-escalate a moment that never should have existed. And the agent who killed her? What did he say right after he fired? He called her a vulgar slur. That's the truth they want erased, because remembering it forces us to confront who they really are, how much power they've seized, and just how far they are from everything even resembling law and order.
They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him.
When the truth is this damning, and it is with most things out of this administration, they know there's no way out without looking like the corrupt, authoritarian regime that they are. So they lie, and they're not even hiding it anymore. Trump isn't just rewriting history through propaganda. He's rewriting the physical world around us too. This is what fascists do. They don't just try to make us forget what they've done. They change the landmarks we see in our everyday lives. They tear down the buildings that remind people of what used to be and replace them with monuments to themselves. They don't want you to remember that the White House belongs to the people, so they knock down a historic wing and build a bigger one with their likeliness all over it. They don't want you to think of the Kennedy Center as a space for public culture, so they stick their own name on the front of it to make a point. This belongs to me now. The whole country belongs to me. That's how fascism operates. Not just through the violence that we might have expected, but through symbols, through slowly convincing people that the country was always like this, that Trump has always been the central figure, that the rules have always worked this way. It's slow, intentional memory wiping. And when he can't physically change something, he changes it online. Even if he can't erase January 6th from our memory, he's creating a new version of it on the official White House government website. A version where he replaced facts with lies and blamed Democrats for the carnage. Most Americans won't read that page, but this crooked administration knows that AI will, search engines will, and people searching for information 10 years from now will. The official White House recap will rise to the top of search results, and it will all be a lie, but it will look real and trustworthy because it's on the White House website. This is how history is rewritten. That's how fascism works in the modern day. It's propaganda built for the digital age. He's using the White House itself as a content farm. He isn't just feeding people disinformation. He's feeding the machine that teaches and informs the people. And here's the part that should make every single American sick. Congress could end this right now. They could impeach every corrupt appointee. They could cut funding to ICE. They could pass emergency legislation to rein in the executive overreach. They could hold hearings, issue subpoenas, demand resignations. They could restore checks and balances immediately. But they won't, not because they can't, but because they are choosing not to. Because too many of them are calculating what they might personally lose if they stand up instead of weighing what the country is already losing while they stay complacent. They're choosing the survival of their careers over the survival of the republic, and we cannot let them get away with their betrayal to our nation. Accountability and consequences are the line that we must hold for every elected official who choose this corrupt administration over their oath to the Constitution. If they supported any part of this, if they voted for anything Trump signed, ordered, funded, or forced through, if they confirmed it, protected it, or stood by it while it happened, they must be voted out and then held accountable. Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. The party label means absolutely nothing if you sold out the people you swore to serve. Your job was to defend the Constitution, not enable a regime that lets federal agents kill people and then dodge accountability. We need to demand that this end now. An end to the killings and the ICE raids. It is erasing lives. Congress needs to shut it down. And when this chapter ends, and it will end, we don't need unity. We don't need healing. We need prosecution. I heard someone say recently that they'd vote for anyone who runs on holding every last one of them accountable. And I agree. That's the platform I want to see. I'd vote for anyone who runs for office on the promise of prosecution, on the commitment to make them pay for what they've done, legally, fully, and without delay. Because without real consequence, it will happen again, just like it's happening again right now. Elected officials need to understand that loyalty to this administration means absolutely nothing if it comes at the expense of justice, human life, and the rule of law. If you're not willing to stop this, undo it, and prosecute those who made it possible, then you're not serious about saving this country. And don't let anyone tell you that everyone involved in this is beyond reach because of pardons. Yes, the president can issue federal pardons, even preemptively. But that only covers federal crimes. It does nothing to erase state charges. It doesn't protect anyone from a state prosecutor willing to step up and do their job. Every one of these people must be investigated to the fullest extent of the law, not just in DC, but in every state where harm was done. And if I sound fired up, it's because I am. I've watched too many videos of atrocities I could never have imagined would happen in the United States of America. Not in this beautiful country that we call ours. Our ancestors would be horrified by what one man and his corrupt cronies have done in less than 1 year. They would demand that we rise up and fight back, peacefully and with conviction not seen in centuries. This was the land of the free because of the brave. We're built on the backs of immigrants and meant to be a safe place for all. We have had dark moments in our past, and we have risen, often broken, but always working towards better days for all. We've missed the mark over and over again, but we've never stopped trying. And even with everything that we are up against, I still have hope for America. Not the version they're trying to build, but the one we fought for, the one that remembers, resists, and refuses to be rewritten. I believe most people in this country still want what's right, even if they've forgotten how to fight for it. And I believe we can still hold the line as long as enough of us refuse to let go of the truth. And if you've made it this far, we're probably on the same page and on the same side of history. I'm working very hard to spread this message and reach as many people as possible. So if you can, please like this video, subscribe, leave a comment. For all of my daily posts, you can find me on Substack by searching Heather Delaney Reese, and I've included a link for you below. And remember, no matter how dark the days get, and they're going to get darker, I will be here every single day bringing hope for America. I'll see you tomorrow.